Today, I would like to share one of my biggest mistakes. Something I thought would help me get more control over my anxiety disorder, but actually only made things worse and worse. Until at one point I could barely leave my own house anymore. For me, it all started when I was 17 years old. I was going to high school, I was taking a test, and suddenly I didn't feel so well anymore. I felt that my heart rate was going up and my chest was starting to hurt. I got trouble breathing, my throat closed, I became dizzy, and this only kept getting more and more intense. And at some point it genuinely felt like I wasn't going to survive. So I handed in my unfinished test, I left the classroom, and then it slowly started to settle down again. And that turned out to be my very first panic attack. And from that moment on, I was no longer focused on school or on my friends, but only on one thing. What if this happens again? What if it happens when I'm with my family in a restaurant, or when I'm with my friends, or when I'm somewhere where I cannot easily leave? And unfortunately, that is exactly what happened. And next to the panic attacks themselves, it actually grew into a constant state of anxiety. A few months later, I passed my exams, I got accepted into university, which meant that I had to take the train for 30 minutes every day. And that actually went very well until I had a very intense panic attack while I was on the train. From that moment on, the train became one of the most difficult places for me. Just the thought of being stuck there, not being able to leave and not having any control, caused me a lot of anxiety every day. But then I came up with something that I thought was a brilliant idea. I bought this 35-year-old car for 300 euros and it was perfect. So I didn't have to take the train anymore. I could just put on my music. I immediately felt so much calmer until one day when I got stuck in traffic. And that's when I suddenly realized that even when I'm driving in my own car, I actually didn't have any control. So every morning before leaving, I would check Google Maps to see if there weren't any traffic jams. I would check the weather forecast to make sure that it wasn't going to snow. And when I actually got into the car, I would always bring my bottle of water. I would bring some mints. I would bring my banana and some tissues, all just in case something would happen. But what I didn't realize was that every time that I prepared myself so intensely for everything that might happen, I was sending a signal to my brain that I was apparently about to do something very dangerous. Otherwise, why would I prepare so much? And to help you keep safe when you're about to do something dangerous, your fight or flight system gets activated and you start feeling even more anxiety. So, long story short, driving also started giving me panic attacks. So I already had my next solution ready, which was just to move to a different place. So I found a room in the city where I was studying, and now I didn't have to take the train. I didn't have to take the car anymore. It was perfect. But you can probably guess what happened next. By both avoiding driving and avoiding the train, I showed my brain that those were dangerous situations. And then your brain starts thinking, well, if that's dangerous, maybe the bus is also dangerous. What if cycling is dangerous too? What if walking is dangerous? Maybe the entire world is one big danger. And because of that, my anxiety grew so strong that I even started getting panic attacks in my own house, which until then was the only place where I actually still felt safe. So what can we learn from my mistakes? Avoidance is the fuel of anxiety. So every time we avoid something or we resist it, we maybe even get out of the situation, we confirm that the fear was actually a good and necessary response. This applies to thoughts, where we try to distract ourselves or try to think about something else. Emotions, so feelings that we don't want to feel. Physical sensations that we try to push away. And also places like trains, highways, restaurants. And I know how hard it is to not avoid things. But in the end, the only way to rewire your brain is going through those things that make you anxious and actually show that it's just a false alarm. So my advice to you is just try to take 10 minutes today and write down all the things that you're currently avoiding. And from there on, we actually want to slowly reintroduce them. And this can be done in very small steps. Sometimes for the first step, it's already enough to just imagine yourself doing something. You could also watch a video or some pictures, or maybe walk past the train station, for example. And that's how we can build it up gradually without it ever becoming overwhelming. If you would like some help with this, then you will find a link to our online community in the description below. And inside you can connect with people who truly understand what you're going through. And you'll get access to courses, webinars, ebooks, group coaching. And on top of that, I will personally create a 30-day anxiety recovery plan for everyone who joins our community this week. So I'll see you inside.